Good Saturday morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody so far has had a safe and happy holiday, 4th of July, 4th of July weekend, 5th of July yesterday, as it was the hottest day of the year so far. Good morning, Joy. Good morning, Hayden. Good morning, Betty. Good morning to my best friend, Kelsey, and of course, Chloe Carver, her 2-year-old, my little niece. You cannot really tell. I've been trying to be patriotic over the last few days. So I was wearing one of my two-toned blue dresses on Thursday. Yesterday I was wearing one of my red and blue skirts with a white shirt. And then today I have this new red bodysuit and I wore it with a navy skirt. But then I realized on air it looked black. So I just looked like I was supporting the University of Georgia, which is never my intention. But I am trying to mix it up with the patriotic colors over the next few days. So tomorrow we'll see what I can come up with as well. But of course, today, the red is more so because of the heat and humidity. So the big weather impact that we want you to stay weather aware for today is still, unfortunately, the feels like temperature reaching the mid 100s. We once again have a heat advisory under, or we once again are under a heat advisory today from 11 a.m. to about 8 p.m. for most of the Charlotte area. This, of course, going into effect around 11 a.m., meaning that from pretty much 11 to 8, that is 9 hours straight, where our feels like temperatures could be above 100 degrees. Now, anytime that this happens, this, of course, means that we are at a higher risk for things like heat stroke, heat exhaustion, dehydration. So we want to drink plenty of water, stay hydrated. If you're spending more than about 90 minutes or so outside, especially doing potential vigorous activity, let's say you're going for a run, you may even want to consider adding in something with electrolytes, maybe let's say something like Gatorade. I drink the zero sugar just because it has less sugar, of course. Or even those electrolyte tablets. Of course, I would advise you to consult your doctor. But anytime you kind of deplete things from your system, you do oftentimes need to replenish them. So just be mindful of that. Of course, anytime that you're adding in the heat and humidity, it can have those health consequences because above average humidity allows for our bodies to have a harder time cooling us off, right? Because it prevents that sweating, which is why it feels so sticky outside and is that air you can wear. Right now, of course, we have that heat advisory going into effect at 11 a.m. That's until 8 p.m. There are excessive heat warnings for areas off to our east. That is not the case for us locally, but just know that the Raleigh area, just east of Southern Pines, is actually going to be even hotter than we are here today. Yesterday, we got up to 106 for the feels like temperature at Charlotte Douglas, and today I do think that we could get even a little bit higher, up to about 107, just because the humidity is a little bit higher than that. Yesterday, the highest heat index I did see locally was Chirac, hitting about 111. So it definitely could range in a few areas between about 105 and potentially above about 110. And know that that peak heat index will be between about 2 and 4. So definitely going to be a time where we want you to stay weather aware this afternoon. So please stay safe out there, folks. We will probably feel like the mid 90s from pretty much now all the way through about sunset. So about 8:30 later on today. Now, of course, we're also going to have a bit of a 1-2 punch kind of day when it comes to the weather aware status. I don't anticipate severe storms for most of the area, but I do think that they could be strong. And with it being 4th of July weekend and many people still outside celebrating the long weekend through the 6th and the 7th, I want you to just be mindful of the storms around. Remember, of course, frequent lightning, gusty winds, and heavy rain are all going to be possibilities with these storms. And so while they're not severe, strong storms can still certainly be inconvenient, especially when people are outside. 4th of July weekend is just a time where I think of boating, heading to the beach, going to the pool, things like that, and just trying to celebrate, with friends and family. So if you're trying to get outside today, around 2 o'clock is when we'll start to see some of those showers and storms develop, mainly southeast of the Charlotte area. These will start to blow up and become a little bit more widespread by about 5 and 6 p.m. Comparatively to yesterday, it will be just as hot and humid, but the storms will be more widespread. And again, heavy pockets of rain can lead to isolated flash flooding. We saw it yesterday in the mountains. About 2 to 3 inches of rain very quickly can certainly cause quick flash flooding, especially in those higher elevation spots. Also, the storms today will be, again, a little bit more widespread, but also last a little bit later on. So even past sunset, we'll see some of those storms still lingering. And then even into Sunday morning, we will see a few spotty showers and even some areas of patchy fog. Sunday will be a little bit lower temperature wise in the lower 90s, partially due to clouds, with scattered storms returning to the area in the afternoon. Again, we'll see the storm activity, but again, it won't be quite as humid, still sticky outside, and then we'll see those scattered showers and storms. So if you're trying to pick one day of the weekend to get outside, it kind of depends on what you're trying to do. To avoid the heat and humidity being as high, I would pick Sunday, but both days are going to encompass showers and storms. If you're trying to maybe lay by the pool for a little bit, but you plan on jumping in to try to get some of that cool down, I would say try to do today before 2 p.m. just to enjoy a little bit more of that sunshine, since tomorrow we'll have more clouds. And then we do see a few more storms again repeating heading into Monday. So the next 2 days, still expecting, of course, it to feel like July. It's just that today it's above average heat and humidity, just like Friday. So the when, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The what is the above average heat and humidity. What you're going to need is a lot of water, a lot of breaks inside, a lot of air conditioning, and of course, a lot of ways to stay safe from the heat. Also, something that actually came up during the morning newscast that I don't think that we've talked about a lot as much this summer, but I know that I talked about a lot last summer, is nighttime temperatures. So we also do see nighttime temperatures a big thing that we talk about during the summer, especially when it comes to getting warmer and our changing climate. Anytime you see overnight temperatures reach the mid to upper 70s, that's really warm overnight. And you might hear, the air conditioning running constantly, and I know mine has. You want to try to make sure that you are appropriately cooling off your body at night. And this actually helps your cardiovascular system kind of recover your body, because when you have intense heat, like what we've had the past few weeks, it actually puts excess stress on your body. But when you cool off at night, your body's kind of able to recuperate some of that stress. So, for example, let's say that last night, yesterday we hit 101 degrees and it feels like a 106. And let's say that I wasn't able to recuperate my body last night when I went to bed because my apartment wasn't cool enough. So when I wake up in the morning today, some of that excess stress from yesterday is still kind of lingering. And so then when it gets hot and humid today, that increases that heat and humidity stress for this afternoon. So it actually, the impact might be the same, but it's actually now more intense on Saturday just because I wasn't able to appropriately kind of recuperate my body. I hope this all makes sense. And so that's something that we also need to keep in mind as we go through the next few weeks, especially into the peak of summer, is that we're cooling off at night. We're taking those precautions. Sometimes people will take, those cooler showers and cooler baths at night to kind of get that body going. But again, feel free to consult your doctor if that would impact, any kind of medical conditions that you do have. But just kind of some good tips and tricks that you can do. And always remembering too that you can close your blinds to kind of keep some of that cool air in and try to avoid opening the door too much. It also helps not let those mosquitoes in, because it's that time of the year too. I know the mosquito meter has kind of been off the charts as of late as well. So that, of course, the heat and humidity. Talked about the storms. Let's talk about something else that we see a lot during the summertime, the tropics. So Tropical Storm Beryl, which at one point was the strongest hurricane that we've ever had in the Atlantic Basin in the month of June, with a Category 5 intensity. It is now a tropical storm. So it made landfall on the Yucatan Peninsula and now yesterday, and has now emerged into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Tropical storm with winds sustained at 60 miles an hour. It is expected to continue to move northwest toward the Mexico-Texas border over the next few days. Eventually, is going to likely regain some of that hurricane strength and become a Category 1 hurricane. Based on steering currents right now, there's a high pressure system that's keeping it on that kind of clockwise trajectory over to the north and west. And at this point is expected to make landfall most likely in southern to southeastern Texas between about Brownsville and Corpus Christi by Monday morning, very early Monday morning, if not the middle part of Monday morning. If anything changes, we will certainly let you know. If you live anywhere from, I would say, the southern and southeastern Mexico coast, all the way toward really all of Texas coast to Louisiana. Certainly should be monitoring the storm for any potential additional shifts to the east. Based on the positioning of the high pressure, any shift toward the east could certainly shift the track as of now. I do think it's pretty consistent that this will likely make a landfall impact for Texas, but as we know, impacts felt very far from the center of any kind of storm, so we have to monitor that as well. Storm, of course, will be in the Gulf of Mexico, so that means that from Texas all the way to Louisiana, Mississippi, and even Alabama, higher than normal wave heights. Other coastal impacts like beach erosion, coastal flooding will also be something to monitor and watch out for, as Beryl is a pretty large storm as well. Of course, landfall on Monday morning, and then eventually the storm will move inland before dissipating and becoming a remnant area of low pressure by about Tuesday and Wednesday. At that point, of course, only about 30 to 25 miles per hour. And then at that point, it's just a remnant area of low pressure as it eventually moves into parts of Arkansas and Missouri. Where that leftover energy goes from there likely gets picked up by an area of low pressure, another cold front, and gets swept off to the east and could actually eventually bring us a little bit of rain. But we'll, of course, continue to keep an eye on it. As of right now, there's no other tropical influence that is expected to impact or come anywhere close to the Carolinas, really, other than the fact that we have a lot of tropical moisture today, which is why we are so darn humid. So again, today, 95 degrees. We want you to stay weather aware for those feels like temperatures near 107. But after today, Sunday all the way through Friday, we are talking more typical temps in the upper 80s, lower 90s. It'll still feel humid. It will still feel like the month of July. It will still be in the upper 90s to low 100s for what it'll feel like. But it's just that today we are still at that threshold of a heat advisory, 105 and higher. So after today, we are getting a break from those actual heat advisory numbers. So we'll still be talking about the heat, we'll still be talking about the humidity, but we'll just be talking about it on a smaller scale. I did want to at least mention for Joy, because it looks like she was asking in the comments, our digital extraordinaire, Erica, wanted me to let you know, Joy, that NBC does have a Macy's 4th of July fireworks special tomorrow night. And they do have more information over on our WCNC Charlotte mobile app, so you can check that out. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Stephen saying a bad weekend to install your fire pit. Probably, Stephen, I would wait until fall. Probably is the best time to do that. If you're trying to get a fire, if you're just trying to install it, I would maybe wait until tomorrow when it's a little bit less hot and humid. Either way, I hope everybody has a great rest of your Saturday. We will be back on WCNC Charlotte tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. If you were wondering why we aren't on the rest of this morning, it's because the Tour de France is on this morning on WCNC Charlotte. So we had 2 hours straight from 6 to 8, but we again will be back to normal programming tomorrow from 6 to 8, and then again from 9 to 10 on WCNC Charlotte. Again, I hope everybody has a great, happy, healthy, and safe rest of your 4th of July holiday. And hopefully we'll see you back here tomorrow on WCNC at 6 a.m. Have a great day.